All right, we're going to go ahead and continue with our post-qualifying media availability here. We've now been joined by our Busch Light Pole Award winner, Aric Almirola, driver of the number 10 SHR Ford. Aric, a great lap for your team. Tell us a little bit about taking home another pole this season.
Yeah, it feels good to show up to Talladega with speed in our cars. You know, I knew coming here we were going to have an opportunity to qualify well, and that this would be a great opportunity for us to win a race. So proud of everybody at Stewart-Haas Racing for continuing to fight and work their tails off to bring fast race cars to the racetrack. It would be so easy at this point in the season where we're at to just bring a car to the track and check the box, but that's not who we are. The men and women at our organization continue to wake up every day, going to the shop, figuring out how to make our race cars go fast, and today is proof of that. So proud of the effort. We had a really good car at Daytona, qualified well. I think we qualified second, just barely missed the pole, and ran up front all night and finished third. So similar car, similar setup, all those things. So yeah, certainly expected to be fast when we got here.
All right, we'll now go to questions for Aric. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. We'll start with Justin in the middle.
Justin Schuler, Kicking the Tires. Is this, and this being the last 2 months, is this kind of SHR starting a resurgence? Because, beginning of the year, guys weren't really on top of it. Now it's like you guys have poles, you guys are running up front, and not just Kevin or one car at a time. Like, we're seeing multiple of you guys, and Chase now in qualifying third. What's changed over the last 5 months that has led to this uprise of SHR lately?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, it's good that everybody else notices it, because internally I feel like, we notice it, and they're continuing to be motivated by seeing things start to go in the right direction. So that's nice. From my standpoint, to show up to the racetrack with a little bit more speed and be a little bit more competitive, is encouraging. But it starts at the shop, and it really has gotten to a point to where we were at a pretty low spot, right? And everybody was searching. Every team, every crew chief, every engineer is searching. Like, oh my God, we're off. What can we do to find speed? Let's try this setup. Let's try this setup. Let's do this to the car. Let's do that to the car. And so you end up with everybody kind of going off on these islands, trying to figure out what we need to do to put speed in our race cars. And over the last couple months, I feel like we've come back together, because that hasn't worked. And there's been a lot more unity and collaboration internally inside of our organization, bringing all the smart people together, talking about what we need to do, and kind of going at it more collectively. And that's been a turning point, and I feel like that's been beneficial.
Okay, Steven?
Steven Toronto, CBS Sports. Aric, this is the first time you've ever won multiple poles in a single season. I think it also brings your career total up to 6. I know that, to my point, I know not a lot of drivers get their pole totals referenced. I think Ryan Newman's like one of the only ones that I can think of. But as a driver, how satisfying personally, professionally is it to be able to look at that part of the stat sheet and say, hey, I won the pole for the Coke 600. I won the pole at Atlanta. I won at Bristol, Talladega, that sort of thing.
I think it's something you care about probably when you get older, I guess, when you look back and you tell your grandkids that you were somebody, and you're like, look at here's my stats, I guess. But for me, in my spot where I'm at in life and my career, I chalk it up as mission accomplished, right? Like, we show up to the racetrack every week, and your goal is to be fastest in practice. Then after that, it's to be fastest in qualifying. And then after that, it's to win the race. And if you don't achieve any of those things, it's mission not accomplished. So, I of course am appreciative and get excited. But I get more excited for the team than I do really for my stat total. It's rewarding for Drew and all the guys on my team. It's rewarding for the men and women back at the shop. It is a morale boost when you show up and you have a fast race car and you qualify on the pole.
And the thing about Drew is that no matter where he's been, his reputation has always been that he brings a very, very fast cars to super speedways. What exactly is it about him and his mechanical or aerodynamic prowess that allows your team to bring cars to super speedways as fast as they are?
Well, Drew's been around the sport for a long time, and Drew's very savvy. He's smart, and he's intelligent about a lot of things, but when it comes to prepping race cars and getting race cars ready to go to the racetrack, Drew is extremely detail-oriented. And so, I worked with Drew when I was at Petty's, and I was so excited when we had the opportunity to get him to come over to Stewart-Haas Racing because of that. I knew that Drew was a guy that would come in and take fast race cars and make them faster. And unfortunately, over the last couple of years that he's been there as an organization, we've been off. And so it's been challenging for him to show how good he is and how capable he is as a crew chief. But I think extremely highly of Drew Blickensderfer. He's very talented, and this shows it, right? Because you come to a racetrack like this where it's very paired up, and all the little details matter. You look at qualifying, and you look how tight it is. It's separated by thousandths of a second, which means that the details matter that much more. And so that just points to Drew and his leadership and how good he is at getting the most out of our race cars.
Thanks, Aric.
All right, any final questions? Okay, we'll come up front to Bob.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. You talk about the improvements the last couple of months. Has that impacted any decision you might have for next year? And or if you have a decision, can you tell us? Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have a decision, and well, at least not one I can tell you. So I think for me, I'm just enjoying it, right? Claire asked me a minute ago if, looking back on it now, if I feel like I made the right decision when I came back for this year, and I can easily answer that as yes. Performance-wise on the racetrack, no, it hasn't been the year that I hoped for when I signed up to come back. That's no secret. But I have met a handful of people that have really impacted my life this year that I would have never met had I not decided to come back. My family and I have gotten to experience some really, really amazing things this year. And, I think personally, I feel like the good Lord led me to have this opportunity, and it was very apparent that the door was wide open. All I had to do was step through. And so, as I sit here today, I'm wrestling with that same thing. For me, I've kind of, so to speak, put my career on the altar. Because for most of my career, I held on so tightly. I was like, man, I just need, one more contract or next year's contract. And this year, I've just been so free with it and held it so loosely. And it's been mind-blowing, the conversations that I've had in the last 3 to 4 months and just all the things that are happening and going on around me. So it's been humbling. And I just continue to pray through it and talk with my wife, talk with my kids, and we'll see.
All right, any final questions for Aric? All right, congratulations again, Aric.
Thank you, guys.